Hi, I'm Becky Lou Hobbs, Wake County resident and concerned mom. Concerned because the board has allowed vulgar, age-inappropriate, and obscene materials in the classroom, and concerned because of policies that looks like are going to be violating First Amendment rights. So what are these policies? Policy 3200, which was mentioned tonight, as well as Policy 3210, inspection and objection to instructional material. Both of these policies use the term pervasively vulgar, which was mentioned earlier tonight, yet neither policy define what that means. So according to the dictionary, pervasive means permeating, to be prevalent throughout. And then synonyms for vulgarity include obscenity, profanity, and lewdness. In other words, pervasively vulgar is permeating or prevalent profanity, obscenity, or lewdness. Which is also interesting that I saw a news report from Board Attorney Blumberg stated that there's no law that defines the term, but then it's also quoted as saying that pervasively vulgar is repeated vulgarity throughout a material. Well, then that brings what's going on the past few years. Many parents, grandparents, concerned citizens have read from Lawn Boy, Jack of Hearts, The True Diary of a Part-Time Indian. There are many, many more. Books that pervasively depict sexual acts by children. Books that instruct children in sexual manners. Any of this material, if it had been in the workplace, would be deemed as sexual harassment. So why has this board continued to allow children to have access to this material? And since the board is concerned about legal definitions, this policy also cites as a legal reference the American Library Association. So what local, state, or federal authority has this association been granted the authority to develop laws? They don't have any authority to make laws. Any organization, such as the ALA, the NEA, the NCAE, that supports allowing children to access sexually explicit, pervasively vulgar materials shouldn't be recognized in any capacity, legal or professional. And then there's Policy 3210 regarding inspection and objection to instructional material. It places a 2-year moratorium on filing grievances, limiting the First Amendment rights of parents. The right to speak out against materials that parents know is harmful to their children. In other words, my right to redress a grievance is dictated by somebody else if they filed one. Both these policies have major flaws that need to be rewritten. Materials with sexually explicit, in other words, pervasively vulgar material should not be allowed accessible by children. And these policies need to be backed by a board that will act to protect our children. Please send these policies back to the committees. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Julie Page, followed by Brooke Weiss.
Becky's taller than me. Hello. I will begin by helping the superintendent, the board, and especially the board attorney with the rewriting of Policy 3200 on books in schools. Apparently, y'all can't seem to figure out what pervasively vulgar means. Is it the pervasive part, or is it the vulgar part? If you can't determine what it actually is, then change the language. How about the better word here is obscene, of which there are clear definitions in federal and state laws. North Carolina Statute 14-190.1, obscene material is any material that describes sexual conduct in an offensive way, appeals to an inappropriate interest in sex, and lacks serious literary, artistic, political, or scientific value. Now, if you need a definition of sexual conduct, it defines that for you too. Number 1, vaginal, anal, or oral intercourse, normal or perverted. 2, masturbation, excretory functions, or lewd exhibition of uncovered genitals. 3, an act that depicts torture, physical restraint, or flagellation of or by a nude person, person in undergarments, or person in bizarre costume. This law also tells you how to judge obscenity. when it comes to minors under 18 years of age, with reference to children, if the material or dissemination is directed to children. Aren't K through 12 schools in Wake County Public School System directed to children? Is that not something that we can all agree on? The United States Department of Justice also clearly states that obscenity is not protected by the First Amendment rights to free speech, especially when it comes to minors. Any reference to First Amendment rights should be removed, as it does not apply here. Any reference to the Library Bill of Rights from the Special Interest American Library Association should be removed, as it is not a legal authority. Your own school policies, 4309, 3005, and 3012 on student and professional conduct prohibit the use of language, whether oral or written, that is obscene, profane, offensive, lewd, vulgar, demeaning, and pornographic. Violations of that can result in a student being suspended or an employee being terminated. Did you know that the Wake County Detention Center has a policy on books given to inmates? They cannot contain images or content that is excessively violent, profane, pornographic, or obscene. They told me that the material has to be wholesome. Porn is not allowed for adults, but it's okay for kids. It's outrageous.
Our next speaker is Brooke Weiss, followed by Lana Witt.
Good evening. My name is Brooke Weiss. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. I am also a concerned parent to find out that sexually explicit material is in Wake County schools. I am glad and grateful to hear that you're throwing this back to committee and going to look at it some more. Let me help you understand what pervasively vulgar means. It means that if the content of the book were put up on a movie screen and it received a rated PG-13 or an NC-17 or a rated R, that it should not be in the school libraries. That doesn't mean that you're banning books. It means that you're insisting on age-appropriate material in an educational setting. You're not banning books because if a parent chooses to allow their child access to those materials, they can still go buy the books on Amazon, go to a public library, or go to Barnes & Noble. The idea that these books are inclusive and that every student should be able to see themselves in these books is just not fair. Just because one child may be broken doesn't mean that you break the rest of the children in the environment. I can tell you, as a victim of sexual abuse, I was abused for years when I was a child. Reading a book like that or having access to a book like that would have been traumatic for me. It's traumatic for me as an adult just to review some of the books that I have to look at that are in the school systems now. So I'm glad that you're going to look at it again. I hope that you will make responsible decisions as to what you allow the children in your system to be exposed to. Because it's on you. It's on you to make the decisions. You've decided that parents aren't able to make the decisions. When we send our children to school, we're not relinquishing our rights as parents, and we don't co-parent with the government. We do not want our children reading stuff like that. Sexualizing children is damaging to their brains. It's damaging to their emotional development. Their little brains are not ready and capable to handle mature topics like that, and it should be up to a parent to decide when topics like that, when their children are exposed to topics like that. So I hope that you very carefully consider what you will continue to allow in your libraries, in your classrooms, in the curriculum, because it's a very important decision. Children's mental health is at risk. Thank you for allowing me to speak today.
Our next speaker is Lana Witt, followed by Tran.
Good evening, board members. As a resident and tax-paying family, thank you for the public service you offer Wake County Public School students and the families here. At a historic time when inflation impacts individuals and families, as taxpayers throughout Wake County, what an incredible opportunity to look at budget funds directed by this board. Consistently, the narrative is fully fund the public schools. Would you agree? My question remains, as a prior educator who set a department budget, what amount of money is enough money to, quote, fully fund public education? Is it that our public schools aren't fully funded? Or is it that decision makers direct funds away from basic needs for students, away from excellence in reading, writing, and math skills, away from bus driver, cafeteria worker, and educator salaries, and towards six-figure salaries for over 100 administrators who don't spend instructional time, bus driving time, or food preparation time? What percentage of the budget funds things outside the scope of basic needs? Do student and educator retention rates reflect and support how you as decision makers are directing these funds? By the presence of educators here, topics of poor operations of bathrooms and classrooms, bus driver and educator salaries the previous few months, I'd say there's high concern for how it's being directed. Would you agree? Retention rates for both students and educators are low, while Wake County population continues to increase. Why? Does the majority of the community share satisfaction with outcomes and how our taxpayer dollars are being spent? January 23rd through the 29th, 2022, Governor Cooper declared North Carolina School Choice Week, because even he sees increasing disinterest in public schools and the value of providing every family school choice information to bring competition and encourage excellence. When my kids want more without taking care of what they actually have, is it wise for my husband and I to move money away from one area of basic need to an area that's not being well used? In this time of historic inflation, my request of this board and our county commission is audit every area of increased spending and put it towards students, educators, bus drivers, and cafeteria workers.
Our next speaker is Tran.
Good evening. My name is Tran, and I'm from Wakefield High School. Today I'm actually also going to talk about AAPI month and more specifically the role I play in the community. And today I'm actually here to ask you for your help and your support. But first I want to give you some context. So I started the Asian Culture Club at Wakefield this year for the first time, and my friends and I had the goal of not only educating those who are interested in Asian culture, but to also educate ourselves. And I must say we did learn a lot through the experience. Within our first year, we gained over 50 members instantly and hopefully plan on gaining more for the years to come. What interested us the most was the diversity that made up our club members. We were incredibly happy to see that the club didn't just consist of Asian Americans, but it was even able to reach out to those who aren't of Asian heritage. Seeing the diversity in the members proved to me that people who don't share the same heritage or the same race could still come together and share the same interests and curiosities. Everyone ended up having so much fun learning about different Asian cultures. Seeing everyone come together with one goal inspired me. It inspired me to go bigger. I didn't want to just educate this time, though. I wanted to focus on the connection aspect, which brings us to my organization. GAAC, or the Guild of Asian American Communities, is an initiative that we started in order to connect with different Asian American clubs around Wake County. Our goal is to create a network that connects people, ideas, and cultures across the state in order to foster greater growth and development within our diverse communities. We have been able to build out our organization and expand to a few schools beside my own, and we hope to keep on expanding more with your support. We've already done, on the sheet that I've handed in, there's a list of like what we plan on doing and what we've already done. And so far, even though we are small, we do have big goals and we do have big dreams for change to society, and we really want to be a part of that. So, hopefully through these efforts, we can gain more recognition for Asian American communities and cultures, and that our goal of connectivity can come to be with the assistance and support from the community itself. Again, if you have any more information, it is on the sheet, and contact info is also on there. But yeah, thank you for your time.
Thank you. This concludes public comment.